Shake it off. Okay. Okay. Take 75. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Weatherwise. I am your host, Nathan Scott. We're about to close the books on 2024, and it has been a wild year of weather here in the natural state. We've had tornadoes. We have had extreme cold. We've had extreme heat and also quite a bit of rain for some of the months. We'll go over all of those weather statistics coming up, but I think everybody was talking about not so much the weather, but what's happening above us. Space weather. 2 events happened this year. And everybody was certainly talking about this one, the total solar eclipse that occurred April 8th. And also we had the privilege of seeing the northern lights this far south, not just one time this year, but twice, in May and also October. Let's talk about the eclipse though. That is a beautiful shot that will stay in my mind until I die. Just an amazing once-in-a-lifetime event. Hopefully you got to see it because there was certainly a difference between 95% totality in East Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas versus when the entire shadow of the moon covered up the disk of the sun. That's where you experienced just a breathtaking celestial event across a large part of Central Arkansas that did include Little Rock, Hot Springs, Searcy, but by far, everybody really flocked to the red line zone, and that's where the longest period of totality happened. Over 4 minutes. DeQueen, places like Mount Ida, Russellville, into Clinton, and fortunately, the skies remain clear. This has been an event I have been waiting for all my life. I saw my first partial solar eclipse when I was in 6th grade in Maryland, and I knew that this was coming up for 2024. I didn't know where I was going to be, though, and fortunately, I was blessed to be here in Arkansas to witness this event, to see things change as the eclipse was taking place, the skies getting darker, and then the temperature also dropping. But it was those final moments just before totality happened that will always stick in my mind. Bailey's beads, the diamond ring effect as the final rays of the sun make their way along the moon's surface before it all disappeared. And then once totality happened, it was like everybody was quiet and then started to cheer as they saw the corona, that glow around the blocked out area of the sun. And we can only see the corona here on Earth with our naked eyes only when it is a total solar eclipse. And you got to see the Bailey's beads, diamond ring effect once totality passed and was going back into the partial phase. But the totality phase, I remember looking around. I was in Hot Springs. And I remember looking around and 360 degrees. It's just like a sunset sky. And you could also hear some nighttime creatures coming out, crickets and frogs doing their thing, and full wildlife. Just something that I want to see again if possible. But it's not going to be happening here in North America for quite some time. Now let's go over to Storm Track 11 because this is all the eclipses happening for really the next 10 years. And there's nothing in North America. It's all happening in Australia, in Africa. So it is a rare event to have a total solar eclipse in the first place. They do happen across the globe every 18 months, but you notice a lot of it primarily occurs over the ocean. So our next time, if you missed it, will be happening here in Arkansas and a large part of the country from Salt Lake City, Denver, Dodge City, Tulsa, all the way down to Orlando. Mark your calendars for August 12th, 2045. I'm hopeful of that because usually August, it's just hot and we'll see not too much in the form of cloud cover. Of course, you know, we can always have something from the tropics arrive and throw cloud cover away, but that's several years away. So we'll just wait and see what happens with that. But again, you have to be in the path of totality to experience that once-in-a-lifetime event. Also, this event, the Northern Lights, this is what I had from my view when I was in Cleburne County on October 10th, and it changed. it went from just a little bit of a glow to spectacular colors showing up. So what you see right there, that's what I saw pretty much with my naked eyes. This wasn't a situation where you took a picture with your phone and then the northern lights would show up. That was just something that I would love to see again as well, because the northern lights or aurora borealis don't happen very often here in the deep south or mid-south, but it's all because the sun is going through a cycle. This is an 11-year cycle, and basically as it goes into a more active cycle, it produces more sunspots. More sunspots allow for the opportunity of more of those coronal mass ejections, or just a shot of plasma coming out of the sun. And if that's directed at Earth, our magnetic field protects us, but in response, you get displays like this, and you get the northern lights that can be seen all the way down here into the mid and deep south. The sun's cycle will remain very active going into 2025, so I would not rule out that we may see more northern lights here for 2025. Coming up, we'll take a recap of all the top weather events that happened here into the natural state after the break. Welcome back to WeatherWise. We are talking about the recap of all the weather events that happened here in the natural state, but let's give you the breakdown when we take a look at the highest temperature recorded at Little Rock versus the coldest temperature. The highest temperature, that was 105, August 18th. That certainly was a steam bath. I remember that one very clearly. And also, we had Arctic air build its way in here on January, sending the mercury down below zero in a lot of locations. Little Rock Airport got down to 1. Total rainfall since December 16th now, because this was recorded at December 16th. We have had over 54 inches of rain, so the departure for the year is over 6 inches. And snow for 2024 lines up pretty much for the average, which is 3.8. We had 3.7 inches of snow at the airport, and 88 days where the temperature hit at least 90 degrees. Let's go over January, because that certainly was a change from December when our temperatures only dropped down into the upper 20s. Arctic air built its way in here when we went to the middle part of the month. Let's go over to Storm Track 11, because with that Arctic air, we also had our first snowfall of the season. And this Arctic air arrived here the 14th and 15th. As the cold air invaded, snow and sleet developed across the state on those days. The 2-day snowfall total in North Arkansas was over 6 inches. Temperatures dropped below zero in many areas across Arkansas. Little Rock was below freezing for 3 days and dropped to 1 January 17th. The 1-degree reading at Little Rock was the coldest temperature recorded since February 16th of 2021, when Snowmageddon took place and we got over 20 inches of snow at Little Rock. Other places like Jacksonville dropped down to 3 below zero. What you're seeing here is from the National Weather Service. They have pretty much a database of all the winter weather systems that have affected us over the past 30, 40 years. And this is all the snow that happened during those 2 days for the 15th and 16th, or the 14th and 15th. And you can see the highest totals were through Newton County. Searcy County saw over 6 inches. Looks like there's a bullseye pretty close to Gilbert of around 9.5. Central Arkansas saw a general amount of 1 to around 3 inches. And then there was also a little bullseye through Ouachita County, northern parts of Calhoun County, stretching into areas of Cleveland County and also into Drew County. But it wasn't just snow we dealt with. We dealt with some very cold temperatures. And here are the lows that happened for those dates. This is the 15th now. And look at those readings below zero. They were below zero into a large part of the Ozarks. But we flipped the script in February. Things warmed up in February, and it was actually the warmest February on record for every recording station in the state. Go back over to me now. Also, the first tornado happened for the month of February. It was in EF1, Saline County, around Sardis Road. 12 days at Little Rock were at least 70 degrees or higher. And the warmest temperature was 81 on the 25th. Texarkana actually got up to 90 degrees on the 26th. Then we come to March, because March, we've had a pretty much quiet severe weather season until March arrived. And this is what happened into Garland County. It was the Hot Springs Village tornado, clear signature supercell thunderstorm. We got the hook echo right around Highway 192. There you see Hot Springs Village, and this happened around 7:47 on that Thursday. This tornado was on the ground for 8.5 miles. The tornado did try to make its way into Saline County, and it did make its way into parts of Saline County. That cell still maintained a lot of its strength, but fortunately did not produce a tornado in Pulaski County. There was a funnel cloud spotted over West Little Rock, but it stayed up in the clouds. And storms also produced baseball to softball size hail that evening, and also very heavy rainfall flooded parts of Maumelle, where some residents had to be rescued as they were living in some townhomes. April, that was the eclipse, and we didn't have any severe weather during April. But May came around, and it is, typically the height of severe weather season once we get into April and also May. And May also did not disappoint when it comes to the potential of severe weather. We had another tornado, once again in Garland County. This was the Hot Springs tornado, pretty close to Lake Hamilton, and this one happened really late at night. In the early morning hours on the I believe it was the 8th. Yes, the 8th it happened in Garland County. We had a cell that looked a little suspicious, but quickly started to rotate. And you can clearly see that rotation with that tornado warning in effect 12:30. This was an EF2 tornado that made its way through that part of Garland County. Did not stay on the ground very long, but certainly did do some damage for areas just outside of downtown Hot Springs and pretty much to the south and southeast of downtown. Summer came around, and it was a hot one. Here are all the heat waves. Now, heat wave is when we have 3 consecutive days of 95 degrees or higher. Here's the breakdown for that. Our first heat wave arrived June 14th through the 16th. The highest temperature was 97. Then June 22nd through the 25th, we hit 99 for 2 days. July 29th through August 6th, we had 9 days in the heat wave, got up to 102 for that final day before things cooled down. And I think the most brutal heat wave was August 13th through the 18th, where you see several readings into the triple-digit range with the highest temperature of 105 for that last day on the 18th. Also, got to remember July, we had the remnants of Beryl from Tropical Storm Beryl make its way through Arkansas, and that storm produced 10 tornadoes. Pretty significant for a tropical system to produce that many tornadoes here in the natural state, but that was something that we were certainly busy in the THV 11 Weather Center for that evening, because we were watching those cells and it looked like they were trying to die off, and then certainly they started to spin up once again, and they primarily affected locations to the south of Little Rock, into Ouachita County, Dallas County, but especially into southwest Arkansas. The highest heat index that I can see here was 119 in August, and that's the combination of very hot temperatures and also a lot of humidity. September was uneventful, and then October we just had drought, and we had pretty much burn bans all across the state of Arkansas, and the wildfire danger was very high. So when we take a look at the breakdown for the temperatures now, looking at the average temperatures, which takes all the highs and lows, averages them out, this is what you get on a monthly basis, and really you see a lot of red. So that basically means every month except one, January, every other month was pretty much above average, and actually well above average when we get into the summertime frame. As for rainfall, we had a good amount of rainfall in the winter and spring. I mean, look at May. We were 13 inches. Our average is around 5 inches, and then the faucet just shut off, and that's why that drought developed getting into the latter part of the summer season and also the fall. And with tornadoes, we've had a lot of tornadoes. Once again, here are all those tornadoes, the 10 tornadoes that affected South Arkansas with Beryl. That was the most tornadoes in July on record, and the whole total for the entire states of 2024 up to this point is 52, and 12 of those tornadoes were in Benton County. So by far the worst tornadoes, and most of the tornadoes happen in northwest Arkansas and north Arkansas. A lot of central Arkansas was spared from the wrath of severe weather in terms of tornadoes, although Garland County, you got hit again, Hot Springs Village and also Hot Springs by 2 EF2 tornadoes. Nothing happened in East Arkansas, and that was certainly a switch from the previous year. We'll wrap things up here on WeatherWise, talking about what you can expect for 2025. I've got some previews ahead. If this is your first time watching WeatherWise, thank you so much. This is a new venture for me, and I want to make it more exciting. I want to know what you want me to talk about. I've got some ideas in my head. Coming up in 2025, I'll be talking about more meteor showers, which ones you want to see and which ones you want to skip. We'll talk about winter weather. What's the difference between snow, freezing rain, and sleet, and why do they develop in the first place? Why sometimes we get snow and why sometimes we get freezing rain. It all has to do with the temperatures, not only the surface, but what's happening in the upstairs part of the atmosphere as well. We'll talk about severe weather safety, and what you need to know. What's the difference between a watch and a warning? There's so many topics that I have in my head, but I also want your help. So, how do you get those ideas from you to me? All you have to do is go ahead and email me at nscott@thv11.com. Love to hear your ideas, and if you have some pictures that you want to share of a cloud that you saw in the sky and wondering what type of cloud that is, or anything related to nature, it can also be astronomy. We would love to see your pictures, and maybe see your pictures show up here on a future WeatherWise show. Thank you for watching. Another thing that you can do is go ahead and like my Facebook page. Just go ahead and Google in the search engine, Nathan Scott, meteorologist, THV11. I will see you in 2025 with more WeatherWise and some great topics to talk about. And also, I'm going to be having more interviews, more experts in all these different types of fields. So be sure to stay tuned. Have a happy and safe New Year.